Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and in today's video we will be talking about the 2022 Senate election in Georgia between Raphael Warnock and and uh, you know potentially David Perdue. So yeah, now first let's start off with Perdue is probably not going to clear the field for a GOP primary. He is a more moderate Republican, and there are going to be at least some pro-Trump Republicans who run in the primary and call Perdue a rhino and damage him, whereas Raphael Warnock is probably going to be opposing the Democratic primary. I mean, he might have one minor primary challenger, but yeah. So that's just something to note to begin with. So Perdue begins as an underdog. I mean, Warnock being the incumbent, and Warnock won by a lean margin in a runoff. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, I think I phrased that wrongly. I guess they came off as sounding biased. I think it's pretty interesting that Warnock won by a lean margin in a runoff that, was always the Republicans' race to lose. We called these races toss-ups, but a runoff in a state like Georgia should always be the Republican Party's race to lose. And they lost both these races. And really, it was kind of like the Alabama Senate special election in 2017, in that, yes, it was a competitive race, but it was a special election in a pretty red southern state. And I know that Georgia's not solid red anymore, but historically, the black turnout hasn't been as high, and it's been a pretty red state. So, yeah. Now, just starting off with taking a look at some of the shifts between this is the Perdue Ossoff map, I believe. Where David Perdue lost to John Ossoff. He lost by 1.2%. He lost by more than Trump. And the difference between Perdue and Ossoff was, I'm just trying to look at this. Perdue, he lost this race by, around 50,000 votes. If I'm looking at this correctly, a little more than 55,000 votes. Trump lost the state by, I think, 14,000. So, yeah. But really, Georgia, it was the suburbs that turned against Perdue, and let's just take a look at the 2014 race where he beat Michelle Nunn by around 8%. Now, interestingly enough, Michelle Nunn cheated better in some of these places in southern Georgia. I guess I'll call it southwestern Georgia. As you can see, I'll just compare the county map. For starters, I mean, she did. Neither of these candidates, I believe, won. No. Nunn, first of all, she won Dooley County, which I had. I had Ossoff and Warnock carrying Dooley County because there was lower white turnout. But it shot up on election day. She did better in Dooley County. She won Dooley County despite the fact that Ossoff lost Dooley County, as did Warnock. But she also, notably, I'm fascinated by Burke County because, Burke County was a Clinton county. Hillary Clinton narrowly carried in 2016. Stacey Abrams, Joe Biden, and the Democrats, they lost it. I guess you could say 4 times in November. Or no, actually, Warnock didn't lose it in November because, that doesn't really count. They lost it 3 times. Warnock lost it in the runoff, and Ossoff lost it twice, both in November and January. So, yeah, and Burke is actually a county that has a majority or a plurality black population, which I find the Democrats are getting barely a percentage of the white vote here, and I guess Nunn did better with the white vote, or I guess ancestral Democrats, than Ossoff did. So just wanted to point that out. But other than that, where did Ossoff? Because obviously Ossoff did better. He had 9 points better, nearly 10 points better than Michelle Nunn. It all came in the Atlanta suburbs. First of all, in Fulton County, which is where Atlanta is located. If I'm looking at this correctly, I'm 99% sure. Ossoff got 72% of the vote there. Michelle Nunn, she only got 65% of the vote there. So Ossoff did 7 points better than Michelle Nunn. Cobb County was a 13-point Perdue County, and yet Ossoff won. I mean, he didn't win in a landslide, but he carried it pretty comfortably. He carried it by 12, so we saw a 25% swing to the left. Gwinnett County was, I think, at a 19-point Ossoff County. It was 11 for Perdue. Actually, he carried it by 20. These Atlanta suburbs. Henry County solidified. I mean, Nunn carried it by 0.6. Ossoff ended up winning it by, it wasn't even that close. If I'm looking at the right county, yeah, I am. Newton County solidified. It was a 2-point Nunn County. It was a 15-point Ossoff County. So, a lot of these counties, they really solidified for the Democratic Party, But I guess around the Augusta area, Burke County flipped to Perdue. But essentially, everything was pretty much the same, except I do believe that Twiggs County might have actually flipped. So Michelle Nunn, she carried more counties, or maybe around the same amount of counties, but Ossoff did 7 points better in Fulton, which is where Atlanta is, and I think he also did better in DeKalb. I think he correct dating in DeKalb. Yes, he did. So he did better in Fulton and DeKalb County, and he just did so much better in the Atlanta suburbs that it made up for his minor losses, I guess, in the central part of the state. And, for the record, I think he did a little better in Chatham County, which is where Savannah is. It was a 10.9 county. I think it was an 18-point Ossoff County. It was a 19-point Ossoff County. Just wanted to put that out there. So, yeah. And then, in the Atlanta exurbs, like Cherokee and Forsyth, Cherokee is right here. This was, again, a 50-point Perdue County, but I believe he did better. He did 5 points better in 2014. Forsyth County was a 61-point Perdue County in 2014, and it ended up being like a 35-point Perdue County, 36-point Perdue County. I apologize for the background noise. But what we're learning is that, obviously the suburbs are swinging against the Republicans, but it's not only Trump. There's a lot of people think it's just a Trump problem. No, because we saw in a January runoff, when Joe Biden had already been elected president, the suburbs, whether it be Cobb, Gwinnett, Henry, or Newton, they all swung against David Perdue, who was a pretty moderate, moderate Republican who did very well in the suburbs 6 years prior, or 7 years prior, actually, but basically 6. So, yeah. Now, taking a look at who he'd be running against, Raphael Warnock. Now, Raphael Warnock beat Kelly Loeffler. Now, Loeffler, some of you might recall, she was never elected to the Senate. She was just appointed by Brian Kemp. So, Warnock did better, and he did like around 1 to 2 points better in the heart of Atlanta, like Fulton and DeKalb. He did 1 point better in DeKalb. He did I think 1.5 points better in Fulton, and he did better in Savannah. Wait, did he do worse actually? I thought he did better. No, he did. He actually did. No, he did a tiny bit better, but he essentially ran even with Ossoff because Ossoff and Warnock campaigned as a package deal, and there was, I guess, some people who thought it would be a split. A split victory for Ossoff and Warnock. I said both Democrats were going to win, but that was I think that the people who assumed actually let's not get into that. Let's talk about obviously Warnock outran Ossoff in Fulton and DeKalb, but he ran he ran pretty even with him in the suburbs: Gwinnett, Cobb, Henry, Newton. And in the exurbs, he actually did a little better than Ossoff did, but essentially, him and Ossoff were pretty similar candidates. I mean, Warnock won by 0.8% more, but again, he was running against. I think everyone can agree that Kelly Loeffler is a weaker candidate than David Perdue. Loeffler was a pretty bad candidate. Perdue was great. He wasn't great. He was an alright candidate, but if Perdue runs again, he'll have to kind of go back to what he did because places like Burke County and like some of these areas in Central Georgia are actually trending to the right for whatever reason. I don't know exactly why. I wish I could provide a diagnosis for this rightward trend or minor rightward trend. It's like a 4 to 5 point trend that we're seeing a uniform across here, but it's kind of become redundant as a result. Or I probably that was, I guess, not the right word, but it became irrelevant because A, Fulton and DeKalb improved for Democrats. B, the suburbs swung so hard against Republicans that it went from an 8-point Perdue victory to a 1.5% Perdue loss. Did I get that right? Yeah, a 1.5%. Wait, no, my bad. A 1-point Perdue loss. So, yeah. Now, I think that this is going to wrap up this video, and I'm just going to say I think Perdue is a bad candidate. I mean, he was rejected by voters by 2022. It'll be 2 years almost. He'd been rejected by voters about 2 years from then. And with Warnock being the incumbent, and with it being a midterm or potentially even higher black turnout, with Stacey Abrams probably going to be the governor nominee for Democrats, it'll be an uphill climb for Perdue. So I think that, really the Republicans' only viable candidate for 2022 Senate in Georgia is probably Doug Collins, but I don't think, with Perdue running, I don't think Collins would challenge Perdue. So I think this is bad news for the Republicans, and I hope I explained it well in this video. So again, thank you for watching this video. Please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on post notifications so that you can never miss a video from the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.